Hi guys, I'm Daddy Freeze, convener of the Free the Sheeple movement and leader of the Free Nation in Christ. I greet you and I bring glad tidings. How are you all doing this really beautiful Monday morning in some parts of the world, afternoon in Nigeria and some other parts of the world? How are you doing? So, K, you are well enough to watch my video. You are well enough to be in my house today. Kalu, I'm not happy. You are well enough to be in my house today. As you can watch my video, it means you are well. Come and give me my duster, being a rag. I wait till they call these things. Oh yeah, oh yeah. So, there was this conversation. Hang on a second. Yeah. So there was this conversation which I'm going to read to you. I'm going to read to you from Linda Ikeji's blog. So guys, please, let's all share our views and opinions, and at the end of the day, it's going to be free for all. This is not I'm not teaching today, I'm discussing. If you're watching on TikTok, double click the screen. Remember to be polite. If you are impolite, it means your parents raised you poorly, and I'm not your parent, so it's not my duty to complete what your parents failed at doing. So I'll just rapture you and probably send some message to your father and mother at home that you might not be comfortable with. So remember to be polite. And by polite, I don't mean your understanding of polite. I mean the general understanding of polite, meaning don't give unwarranted opinions. Be respectful in your conversation, and then we all end up behaving ourselves. So like I said, I saw this on Linda Ikeji's blog, and it was actually a conversation between a guy. His name is Ife, or a lady, Ife Chidere. And she said, full tank of gas in Houston, $45. Nigeria, 45,000 naira. Consistent internet stroke airtime per month in the US, $30. In Nigeria, 70,000 naira. I totally disagree with this. Let's start with that first. I'll leave the 45,000 naira to $45 for a full tank of gas. Let me leave that. Let's start with internet. The internet I run the whole house with is about 25K, and I have fiber optic. I have a second one backup so that internet will not fail. The backup is about 17K. So I don't need a backup. Some months when I don't have too much money, I don't even pay for the backup, and you will not even notice. So with 25,000 naira internet fiber optic that we get in Lekki, so you can imagine mainland will be cheaper. I have 2 televisions. I can watch 2 televisions at once. 3 televisions at once, which we never do. By the time Taste Buds and I watch our TV, the kids are asleep. They have a TV in their own section. You can live stream, and everybody in the house gets internet. It's confined mostly to my room and to the sitting room upstairs and the children's room. If you are downstairs, you probably struggle with the internet. That's because I did not buy a splitter to split the internet, because I want it concentrated here because I use it to work. My kids their tablets, their phones, my laptop, my computer, my iPad, my 8 phones that I use at the same time, all are on this internet, and it cost me 25K. An additional 15K backup that I don't need. So totally, to supply 2 internet service providers in my house will cost 40K a month on the island. So how did you get 70,000 naira in Nigeria? How? Are you supplying unlimited? The other one is not unlimited, it's high gig. Now, fiber optic, you can do unlimited, and it will be very fast. Not being you they watch, so now fiber optic they watch. How much did I pay for it? It's 25K a month. Sometimes when it dips, you will notice the clarity. That's when we are on the other one. The main one is fiber optics, and it's clear. And with my children watch TV, they are on their iPad the whole day, their phones. Do you understand? So with 25,000 naira for a house, unless you are Daddy Freeze that is live streaming, you don't need more than that 25,000 naira. Sometimes that 25,000 naira is all I do in a month. Now, how much do I spend on phone calls in a month? About 10K. About 10K. Some months I don't even spend up to 10K, and I call a lot. So let me just say 10K. How much do I spend on my phone data? Because if I'm not in the house, I'm on the road. I still want to be able to live stream if I need to. I still want to be able to answer emails, make WhatsApp calls, send WhatsApp messages, take pictures and send even if I'm on the road. That will set me back another 5,000 naira on Airtel. I get their 20 gig a month. So my entire internet usage in a month, an average, there are some months that I'll spend 20K on phone calls because I'm calling America, I'm doing plenty things. But on the average, I spend 25K for the fiber optic, 15K for the backup. That's a total of 40K, 10K for my calls, and about 5K for my data. That is 55K. Sorry. Yeah, hello? From who? Yeah, I call him back and ask him what's up, but just don't say much. Because I'm live, that's why. But just leave the phone on, no problem. Leave the phone on and call him. Okay, call me with the other one. Sorry, Madam needs to sort out something. Sorry about that. So, in a month, I do not use, and I'm a very active internet user. So I'll say, which one is fiber optic? IPNX is fiber optic. So this person says, sorry, let me attend to this real quick. So this person says, they spend 50,000, 70,000 naira on fiber optics in a month. Sorry, 70,000 naira on internet in a month, according to the post on Linda Ikeji's blog. I totally disagree with that. Where are you living in Nigeria that you are spending 70,000 naira on internet? Let's start adjusting the figures. Because she said internet airtime per month is consistent internet in Nigeria, in the US is $30. $30 about 28K. In Nigeria is 70,000. That's a lie. Flat out. I don't know any family that spends 70,000 naira on internet in Nigeria. I've added my internet 25k. My backup, I have two internets at the same time. My backup is 15k. The two are 40k. My phone calls on my GSM line, 10k. That's what, 50k. My Wi-Fi, my data on my line, 5k a month. That's 55k. And that is me having two internet providers at the same time. If I had one, remove 15k, you have 40k for everything. So, who disagrees with me that you spend more than this? Who disagrees with me? Now, let me give you an example here. If I wasn't live streaming all the time, if I was like my neighbor that he just needs internet for his children to watch, what he would have, which is what my neighbors have, is 17,000, 20,000 naira internet plan, the same fiber optic, there's a 20,000 naira plan. They probably use 10k for their calls and 5k for their data. So that is 35k a month. Someone says fiber no dey anywhere now. Explain how you use more than 20,000 naira internet. How you use 70,000 naira internet in this Nigeria. Explain it to me. Maybe I'm the one that wants to. That's why I said this is not a debate. It's not a teaching. It is a conversation. It is a. If you're watching on TikTok, double click the screen. Double click the screen. Double click the screen if you're watching on TikTok. Someone said 5G fiber optic in Houston is $80 a month. My own 5G fiber optic, because the internet in my house is 5G fiber optic, is 25k a month. 5G fiber optic. Ezekiel says he spends 80k on internet a month. How, Ezekiel? How do you spend 80k a month? It's like there was a time I was having a conversation with my daughters, and my daughters were spending like 8k on data every month. I'm like, you guys need to. What they do is, instead of them to buy a 5k 20 gig plan, they will buy a 1.5 plan because they don't want to spend more than 1.5. So they will end up using 4 of that 1.5 in a month, or 5 of that 1.15 in a month. So I sat them down. I said, instead of buying this 1.15, why don't you buy a bulk 5k? So those of you, most of you people that are spending this much on data are not buying plans. So it is your fault. That is your. I can. Somebody even called me the other day. I said, Daddy Freeze, how much do you spend on data? I said that I forgot about it because it's on a monthly. Every month is deducted. I had to. The guy gave me a sign. It was about 24k. I did not even. If I told him back up, we would have probably asked him for 40k. But it was 25k, 24, 25k, thereabout. In a month, if I didn't leave my house, I don't need more than that. Now, because I run a church, I don't want to be preaching in the church and then internet goes. You have to have a backup. The backup is what makes it 40k. Meaning, I run 2 internets for 40k. So how do you run 1 internet for 60k a month? Explain to me how. Baba, we watch, my children don't get off Netflix, they don't get off YouTube, they don't get off Facebook. I understand 45k, I understand 30k, I understand 35k, I don't understand 70k internet. How do you do it? Is there something you are doing wrong? There is something you are doing wrong if you spend more than 40k on internet a month. Unless that internet is what is feeding you. Ezekiel says 6 days service in a week. Let me tell you what I do. Like we live stream. I live stream Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. 3 times a day. We have our service once a week. Our service are maybe 4 times a week, plus the main one on Sunday. Then we have our gisting sessions 2 or 3 times a day. And I know they ever finish the internet at the end of the month. You know they finish. Someone said no be everywhere fiber optics day. When I was using only Spectranet, how can you be using Airtel internet now? Ah. You too, now you set yourself up. Spectranet, you can't use more than 30K a month. With, I don't know, like I said, you guys need, and on the island, we have many service providers. We have many. This 24K that I'm telling you now, because they increase price, before now like 18K. Before, I use Airtel too. Every month, I just, for my phone, just to make sure that I have data when I'm outside the house, I buy 5K data and the 5K gives me 20 gig. Someone said MTN is 100K a year. My question is, why will you open your eye and buy MTN or Airtel? And they are not even good compared to the fiber optics. In my opinion, no, I'm not bashing anybody. I'm an Airtel customer. I spend 5K every month on just data that I hardly use because I'm hardly out the house. But I want to be driving on the road and have data. Simple as that. So your experience might be, someone says, not only Yahoo boys, they use that much. I wonder. So, someone said the person who wrote this might be watching all those bad sites. No problem. I no go judge anybody, but that 70K for internet in a month is a lot. If you're watching on TikTok, I'm looking for my #1 gifter. Double click the screen, let more people see this, let more people join us. If you're watching on Facebook, where are my stars? And if you're watching on YouTube, super chats, super stickers, and super likes. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. So, my advice is, let me give you an example. Is like, if you go to a hotel to buy a bottle of Coke, it's like 1K. You can now not say one Coke is 1K in Nigeria because you are buying it in a hotel. Coke is not 1K. But if you go to a hotel to buy Coke, they will sell you 1.5, 1K, 1.5. Does that mean Coke in Nigeria is 1.5? Please, somebody should answer me. Does that mean Coke in Nigeria is 1.5? So, like I'm saying, there are very many experiences. When it comes to data, I can tell you for free, data is cheap in Nigeria. Good data. Maybe I'm speaking from a Lekki perspective, maybe because I live in Lekki. That can alter my perspective with regards to this. But in my humble opinion, data is cheaper in Nigeria. Bookie, please share. I'm going to bring you guys to share your opinions because we need to get to the bottom of this message. Now, the second point, another point she raised is 2-bedroom rent per year is $9,600. $9,600 is about 9 million naira. In Nigeria, a 2-bed in Lekki, she now said no location in Nigeria gives you serenity without generation noise, and you can't buy that. Well, I'll rather pay if it favors me. Now, we also need to talk about what people do. There are many people who live in Nigeria but make money abroad. Our skit makers, many of our comedians, our content providers, our influencers. Now, if you are a doctor, it is better for you abroad. If you are a nurse, it is way better for you in America than in Nigeria. If you are a lawyer, it depends on your network. Some lawyers will tell you Nigeria is better. Some will tell you abroad is better. Depends on. But you see, if you are a content creator, if you are a scrum master, all those internet related work, Nigeria is better. Because when you live abroad, you are working on the internet. Your clients are all on the internet. So whether you live in India or you live in Dubai or you live in America, it doesn't really matter. So when you are doing any work that is internet based, Nigeria is better because you get to save more. You make the same money. Nobody is going to pay you more money because you live in the US than because you live in Nigeria. No. For content creation and all, there is a fixed rate. So if you make 10 million a month and you have to pay US rent or Nigeria rent, you are better off paying Nigeria rent because you end up saving so much more. So if you are a project manager, if you are IT, you are better off here, from my opinion. Now, the money you save can be used to travel 2 or 3 times a year if you need to travel abroad. Most of the people that I know travel abroad for holiday. They don't need to travel abroad if you are doing any internet-based work. By internet-based work, I don't mean Yahoo. I mean internet-based work. Somebody is saying it's not completely true. I totally disagree because rent is cheaper in Nigeria. Rent is much cheaper in Nigeria. Rent is much cheaper in Nigeria. There is nowhere in Nigeria, unless you want to live in Banana Island, that you will be renting a 2-bedroom flat for more than 5 or 7 million naira. A 2-bedroom flat, unless it's Ikoyi or Banana Island. Normal Lekki, like my estate, for instance, is about 2 million, 2.5 million for a 2-bedroom flat. So, if you live in a 2-bedroom flat, now a whole house, if I wanted to rent my whole house, about 7.5 million. So, a 2-bedroom flat abroad is 9 million, while a 4-bedroom house is 7.5 million. You cannot, rent is cheaper in Nigeria. Now, someone said location matters. I am giving you Lekki as a base. If you went to Surulere, you will get it for 4 million naira or 4.5. If you went to Ajah, you get it for 4.5. I'm giving you Lekki. Lekki is not too expensive and Lekki is not too cheap. Places like Japa and Surulere will be a lot cheaper. Places like Ikorodu and Magodo. No, Magodo is not cheap. Places like Ikorodu and Mowe and all those will be really cheap. But if you go to Ajah, if you go to Badore, you will see that as you go further away from Lekki, the prices tend to come down. So Lekki is like a benchmark. Lekki will give you a relatively good Nigerian experience. So if you lived in Lekki, it is cheaper. Your rent is cheaper in Lekki than it is in the UK or the US. I'm ready to debate this with anybody. Now, if you work as a nurse in Nigeria, the salary they are paying you cannot rent house in Lekki. So you are better off abroad, because if you are a nurse abroad, the salary you will be paid can rent you that house abroad. So that's why I said profession based. If you are a doctor, if you're a nurse, if you are into IT that requires physical presence, abroad is better. But if you are online, Nigeria is better because you get to save a lot of money. If you are earning 2,000 naira, $2,000 a month in Nigeria, which is about 2 million naira, you are good. If you earn $2,000 abroad, that's bad though, you will struggle. So it depends on what you do. Somebody here is Cutie Precious says, do giver first. Must you be, why don't you carry pan and stand on traffic and be doing the pan like this so people can put coins inside for you? Rapture out of my life. We are talking about things that are intellectual. You are coming here. Rapture down Lori live. Is it you that I'm looking for? Please, if you are watching on TikTok, double click the screen or double click the screen. Big shout out. Who's my number one gifter? Oh yeah. Follow my number one gifter. Prince is my number one gifter. Follow my number one gifter. Follow my number one gifter. If you're watching on TikTok, everybody on this live, follow my number one gifter. Big shout out to Prince. Big shout out to Prince. My number 2 gifter is follow me, but it is my number 1 gifter I want you to follow. You can see right up there who my number 1 gifter is. Follow them. If you're watching on TikTok, on YouTube, remember my super chats, my super stickers, and my super likes. So let me go to the next point. I think we've agreed unanimously that rent is cheaper in Nigeria than abroad. And by abroad, I mean Canada, and abroad for me is 3 places where Nigerians go and do not suffer. There are some abroads that you will go to in this life, you will prefer you will stay back in Nigeria. So abroad, because some people think Turkey is abroad. It's hard there. Abroad, I mean UK, US, and Canada. So rent is cheaper in Nigeria than abroad. By rent, I mean a decent house in a decent area is cheaper in Nigeria. Is cheaper. If you are living in Cyprus, you are on your own. You are not part of this conversation. I'm looking for 50 money guns. So where are my money guns? Oh yeah. The next thing the person spoke about is home security per month. She said is $0. Abroad, security is free of charge. You have any issues, you call the police, they will run to your house. I understand. In Nigeria, is not. Now, in most estates in Lekki, you pay a service charge of between 40,000. Australia is also abroad. Australia is included. Yes, Dubai is also included. Rent is cheaper in Nigeria than Dubai and Australia. So what am I saying here? Security, there's what you call service charge in Nigeria. It ranges in Lekki from about 40k to about 100k a month, and your security levy is part of it. So the person says about 15,000 naira a month. That makes sense. Now, the person also says quality food, groceries a month abroad is $700,000. $700. Nigeria is about 200k. It depends. If it's me and my wife, we can survive on 200k a month. But a family of 4 cannot survive on 200k a month in Nigeria, unless you are not going to be you're not going to eat balanced diet. So a month for food for a family of 5, decent balanced diet. You have meat, you have fish, you have vegetables, you have fruit. You're going to need at least 300k. Abroad, $700 is almost 700,000 naira at 960 to $1, 9 something to $1. So abroad is still more expensive when it comes to feeding than Nigeria. She also listed constant electricity. She said $0. Nigeria, you have to pay 400,000. I totally disagree. Electricity abroad is not $0. Now your papa get the electricity company. Even if now your papa get the electricity company now, now money they take start time. How can you claim $0 for electricity abroad? That's impossible. Now in Nigeria, consistent electricity, she wrote 400,000 naira. It, like, once again, I'm going to use the Eco Hotel. I'm going to use the Eco Hotel scenario to explain this. Because you go to Eco Hotel and you buy Coke for 1.5, then you drive down the road to Erikesa and you buy Coke for 1.5. And then you go to Chocolate Royale and you buy Coke for 1.5. And then you go to Movenpick Hotel and you buy Coke for 1.5. It does not mean that Coke is 1.5 in Nigeria. So when you spend 400,000 naira a month on electricity, which I do not believe that is impossible, it's very possible. Some people even spend more than that. It depends on Do you have your own generator and have to buy diesel? What's the size of your generator? Because the size of the generator that will power it, let's remember that you said a 2-bedroom flat. The size of generator needed to power a 2-bedroom flat, I doubt would need 400,000 naira worth of diesel a month, or petrol, as the case may be. I doubt. But like I said, because you buy Coke for 1,500 naira in a hotel does not mean that Coke is 1,500 naira in Nigeria. But it also means that there are places where you can spend as much as 1,500 for a bottle of Coke. So let me take you back. How much do I spend on electricity in a month? If you live in an estate where the power is centralized, depending on the usage of your air conditioners and how big your freezers are, you will spend between 150k and 400k a month. But I honestly doubt if there's anybody in my estate that lives in a 2-bedroom flat that spends up to 300k on electricity. Even if you are burning your AC 24 hours a day. I don't burn my AC 24 hours a day. I sleep with my ACs. When I have visitors, I turn on the AC for them. But I'm not one of those people that turn on the AC 24 hours and you're moving around inside the house and the AC is running. I'm not one of those people. But I'm sure if I wanted to power my house to the point where AC will be on 24 hours a day, inside the whole house and everywhere will be cold like freezer, you will definitely spend up to 400k a month. It's very possible. So that now depends on your ability to conserve resources. So some people are better at conserving resources, some people are worse off, and some people cannot stand heat. I know some people that cannot stand any form of heat. Me, if I'm hot, I take off my shirt and I move around topless in my house. If I want to sleep, I turn on my AC. If it's too hot, I turn on my AC. But I'm like now, my AC is not on. My AC is not on 24 hours a day. I don't do that. Some people do it. Oh, very well, very nice. If you do it, clap for yourself. It's very good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's bad. Someone says, Ebiere says, you get as heat be, you go use AC 24/7. I doubt. Even when it's really, really hot, if I'm alone in my house, I take off my shirt. I turn on the fan. But we also conserve resources. Some people use 24 hours. It's like I said, some people, I'm not one of those people. So my electricity bill is between 200 and 250k a month. If you live abroad, how much is your electricity bill abroad? Somebody said abroad is like suffering in heaven. When it is hot, supposed to be so, electricity is expensive, housing expensive, social life expensive, food expensive, relationship over expensive. So let us talk about how much you spend. If you're those of you living abroad, let's make the comparison. How much do you spend on electricity a month? And write your location. If you're watching on TikTok, double click the screen. If you're watching on TikTok. I'm looking for my number one gifter. I'm also looking for my money guns. Prince is still my number one gifter. Big shout out to Prince. Big shout out to Prince. Massive shout out to Prince. So people spend about $150 per month. Canada, 190 a month. Esther Mori, 190 euro a month. Maryland, 180 euro. Baby H, thanks for the gifts. I'm looking for my number one gifter. Follow my number one gifter, everybody. H Daniels, 80 pounds a month, depends on the season. Yeah, if it depends, what I need is an average. Just add everything you spend in a year for 12 months and divide by 12. You now have what you spend average. So that average is what I'm looking for. Bookie says 110 pounds. So one thing we can all agree on is electricity is more expensive in Nigeria than abroad. That we agree, because I'm seeing very few 250 pounds. I'm seeing very 300 pounds a month London. I'm seeing very few of that, and 300 pounds is about 300k. In Nigeria, the average is, if you want to, now there are people who spend 10k a month on electricity or 15k, but they don't have a quality life. So I'm talking about an average quality life. You need about 300, about 250 to 400k. Someone said $1,000 is impossible. How do you spend $1,000 on electricity? Where do you live? So let's hear you guys. What do you think? Is it cheaper in Nigeria or is it cheaper abroad? Electricity. The topic now is electricity. Electricity. Okay, average annually is $1,200. So in Nigeria, a two-bedroom house versus a two-bedroom house in London is more expensive in Nigeria. A five-bedroom house in Nigeria and a five-bedroom house in London, it will be more expensive in Nigeria. It will definitely more electricity is more expensive in Nigeria. Do we agree? Do we agree? Even 180 pounds is about 200k. So electricity is more expensive in Nigeria. Nigeria is about $400 to $450 a month. How many of you spend electricity? How many of you spend $400 to $450 a month on electricity abroad? Most people don't spend up to that. Somebody say yes, I agree. Somebody say no, I disagree. Okay. Whoever pays less than 150 a month on energy in UK does not make homemade food. Yeah, but still 150 pounds a month, even 200 pounds a month is about 200k, 220k. Nigeria, you end up spending more than that. For electricity, oh. Now, if you live in an estate where they give you 24 hours light, you will not need to buy diesel, but your tariff will be high. That's why I'm saying it's about that. So another issue she raised, she says only 1% of Nigerians earn 1 million per month. 10% earn between 200 to 300k. I kind of disagree with that statistics. Less than 1 million, less than 1% of Nigeria actually earns more than a million naira a month. Less than 1%. And I don't know where you got the 10% of Nigerians earning 200 to 300k. I think it'd be more like 2% or 3%, in my opinion. But I don't have statistics to argue that, so I'll just let that slide. She said average monthly wage in Houston is about $4,000. In Nigeria, yes, you can earn $4,000. And if you earn $4,000 a month, you are better off in Nigeria than in Houston. But the problem is, how many people earn $4,000 a month in Nigeria? That's tricky. So, what kind of business are you doing that will generate you $4,000 a month in Nigeria? It's a bit tricky, because one of the things with Nigeria is Nigeria has less opportunities for you to be comfortable. Nigeria has more opportunities for you to be wealthy if you understand how Nigeria works, and you're able to abroad always has a margin that is hard for you to cross over. Nigeria, you can be broke today, your brother-in-law becomes governor, they give you one road to tar, before you know it, you have started driving Range Rover. So Nigeria has its low and high. Abroad is more balanced. If you live abroad, it is easy for you to earn that $4,000. In Nigeria, some people will never earn $100 a month till they buy. N6, I see you. So it now depends on what I call apples and oranges. If I went behind my house, I even have an orange tree behind my house. I dug the ground and put 3 orange seeds. Before I know it, 5 years from now, I will have an orange tree. If I did the same thing with apples or grapes, I doubt if I'll be able to have a vineyard at the back of my house if I planted the seeds of the grapes I ate or the seeds of the cherries I ate. Same thing abroad. You cannot plant yam in the UK and expect a good harvest, or cassava and expect a good harvest. Neither can you plant orange in the UK unless it's in a controlled greenhouse environment. You just go and plant orange at your backyard in the UK. I'm not sure the orange tree will blossom. So this also depends on the opportunities you have to blossom or to grow. In Nigeria, there are opportunities for those who know how to tap into online markets. If you know how to do retail marketing, if you know how to do all those marketing gimmicks that you do them remotely, Nigeria is a fertile ground for you. You know why? Because when that dollar comes in, you change it to naira, you are wealthy. Abroad, when that dollar comes in, you are like everybody else. In Nigeria, if a content creator earns $5,000 a month, you are going to live a very good life. But abroad, if you earn $5,000 a month, you will live a very average life. I don't know if I'm connecting with you guys. You will live a very average life. Digital marketing, e-commerce, those network marketing where not network marketing, those engineering jobs that are off-site where people need you to service their server or do websites, all those kind of work. Baba, Nigeria is a gold mine for you. If you go abroad, you will still make money, but the problem is you make about the same money you make in Nigeria, and abroad bills will chop all that money. Coding Nigeria. And someone say, now 5K abroad, programming, God bless you, cyber security, God bless you, content. Why do you notice that most content creators like to stay in Nigeria? They will go abroad. After a while, they will leave their family there and come back to Nigeria, because the money they're making in Nigeria, when you convert it into Nigerian naira, it will give you a better standard of life, quote and unquote, because everybody abroad has a good standard of life, unlike Nigeria, where some have a really bad standard and some have a really good standard. But so it now depends on your choice of career. What are you doing? Somebody says they like to stay in Nigeria because they don't pay tax. Even if they pay tax, let's imagine that two of you earn $5,000 a month. You are in the UK, you earn the equivalent of $5,000 and somebody earns $5,000 in Nigeria, and the person, you'll be amazed that content creators pay tax before the money even comes. They will tax it. Those are broad taxes first chop your money. So when it comes, let's say you shall collect 5,000 and your government tax you 40%. So what's 40% of $5,000? So 40% of $5,000, 40 divided by 100 is equal to times 5,000. So that's $2,000. So you are left with $3,000. I say it again, you are better off in Nigeria with $3,000 a month than abroad with $3,000 a month. You can't even argue it. You are better off in that $3,000 a month. You will live a decent life in Nigeria and save $2,000 a month. You can't earn that $3,000 in America and save 2K inside. It's not possible. You can't live abroad, earn 3K after tax, and save 2K in a month. You go struggle. 5K abroad will take 2K on taxes. Let's imagine that you take that same 2K on taxes in Nigeria. You are still better off with 3K a month in Nigeria than 3K a month in the US or the UK or Canada. 3K a month in Canada will barely pay your rent. By the time you are done with your rent, how much more will be left? 3K a month? Your rent for 1 year, if you no reach 3K a month, that your January salary go pay your rent for the whole year. You don't understand. You will save 2K a month easily in Nigeria if you earn 3K a month. Unless you like better life. Somebody just sent me a money gun. Big shout out, big shout out, big shout out to Sunday Onama. Sunday Onama. Thank you so much for that money gun. I appreciate you. My number one gifter is now Sunday Onama. Prince has been dropped to number 2. Follow my number 1 and my number 2 gifter. Follow my number 1 and my number 2 gifter. Dart Phoenix just popped a money gun to. Big shout out to you. Hey, YouTube people, if you are watching on YouTube, where are my super chats and super stickers? I'm not going to read your comments if you don't put super chats and super sticker. Prince, thank you. Shay, thank you guys. Now, let me finish what else she was analyzing. Now she now says, now where do you have a better stroke cheaper standard of living? I would say a better standard of living abroad. A cheaper, good standard of living, Nigeria. Better standard of living means you all have access to the same free security, the same good roads, the same system that works. So you have a better standard of living abroad. But you have a cheaper, quite good standard of living if you earn above a certain amount of money in Nigeria. Tosin said, for me, I'm relocating to Nigeria. I'm tired of abroad. I know a lot of people are also tired of abroad. And I know a lot of people who just complain, moan, and groan about Nigeria. So this is not a gospel. This is not what did Christ teach Peter, that I can now come and teach you with authority. This is my opinion versus your opinion. So Niger is cheaper but hopeless. There are some things your Niger money can't buy, bro. I totally disagree. Like I said once more, if you're a content creator in Nigeria and you're earning £5,000 or $5,000 a month, trust me, there are content creators in this Nigeria earning $30,000 a month, 20,000, 15,000. They're yampia. They're plenty. But I will let it go. Average content creator, $5,000 a month. You are better off in Nigeria. Even if you are earning $20,000 a month, you are still better off in Nigeria. Before you know it, you will save up for a house, a good house that will hold its value to a reasonable extent in Lekki, possibly maybe even in Ikoyi. If you have 250 million, you buy a flat in Ikoyi. 300 million, you buy a flat in Ikoyi. If you are earning $20,000 a month, you can save up 300 million. You think it's hard until you start earning $20,000 a month. Legit money. Legit money. Hey, Sunday, thank you so much for that gift. Legit money. So that whole notion of Nigeria is hopeless, I totally disconnect from it. Nigeria is not hopeless. Most people think that, you see what they do is, remember my analogy. You cannot buy Coke for 1,500 naira in a hotel and make a statement that Coke is sold for 1,500 naira in Nigeria. You can't make that assertion. You can say that although Coke is sold for 200 naira, There are places where you buy Coke for 1.5 that are better than where you buy Coke for 200. But that you so this is what you people do. You look at your life. I'm a nurse in the US. The opportunities I have in the US, I will not have them in Nigeria. So the US is better and is more opportunities than Nigeria. You are right. Just like the person who went to Eco Hotel to buy Coke and said Coke is 1.5 is right. But in a broader picture, there are some jobs that you are far better off in Nigeria than abroad. I'll give you an example. I have a friend who exports coal. He's been in the business, inherited the business from his father. This dollar that is going up is favoring him. He has clients in Europe. And he's been doing the business here. You want to tell me that one will go? Someone that makes like $50,000 a month. You want me to on exporting coal, just getting the coal, shipping it to the port, and exporting it. As the dollar is going up, he is getting richer. So you will now tell me that he is hopeless. No, there are some careers that are hopeless in Nigeria and are very well paying in the UK or the US. An example is medicine. I know a professor of pediatric cardiology that earns $500,000 a month. That's nothing. A professor of pediatric cardiology in the US will probably be earning $500,000 a year. So there is no one bracket fits all. It depends on what you do. It depends on what your opportunities are. And it depends on what suits you. Some people cannot stand Nigerian madness. They would rather go abroad and live in a hole than come and be dealing with fight will start, person will break your windscreen. Some people cannot deal with that. Nigeria can be mad, can be frustrating. And I understand you 100%. So there are now what you call personal preferences. I, Daddy Freeze, Ifedayo or Larende, I prefer to live in Togo than to live in Cameroon. Is my personal preference. Why do you prefer? Because I like girls that have big bakasi and they are more in Togo than they are in Cameroon. It's a personal preference. We have to be able to separate personal preferences from reality. It's like Lamborghini or Ferrari. The fact that you prefer Lamborghini to Ferrari does not make Lamborghini better than Ferrari. That's your personal preference. Another person will come and tell you it's Ferrari. So you need to and abroad too has its own madness. Don't think that abroad is free of charge. One boy went to throw away dustbin the other day and they arrested him because his skin color is made in the news. So there's madness in every part of the country. You might argue and say there's less madness abroad than there is in Nigeria. I would say if you lived in Peckham in the UK and you lived in Banana Island in Nigeria, you will have less incidents of madness in Banana Island than you have in Peckham. News is everywhere. Mayfair. If I'm coming to Mayfair, I'm going to wear Swatch or Casio. I'm not going to wear a Rolex or a Cartier in Mayfair. Now that they choke people, a Nigerian guy lost his life, was wearing a fake Patek. Baba, they see Patek for a hand. He they hang out for Mayfair. They believe in a chairman. They took a knife collecting watch. This happened in London, not a dirty part of London, one of the best parts of London. Going with guns into buildings, and before you know, small children will be boo, 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 boo. It's a very popular thing in America. We don't really have it in Nigeria. Does not mean we don't have our own version of madness. So when it comes to madness, yes, abroad is slightly saner, especially now. If you leave out the US, if you talk about Canada and Europe, it is slightly saner than Nigeria. Also, it is much saner than Nigeria, much. The US and London are slightly saner than Nigeria. They have their own craziness. But Europe, the outskirts of London and the outskirts of England and Scotland, those places are more by far safer than Nigeria. So if you cannot deal with Nigeria's madness and Nigeria's noise and Nigeria's stress and the lack of human rights that you have in Nigeria, and trust me, you will have it. Nigerians can be very annoying. Oh yes, then just move abroad. But if you are man enough and you be the kind of person where hey, you they do it, we do it back, you will enjoy Nigeria. So those are my conversations. Someone said I cannot do generator, and I don't blame you. But now you need to understand that that's a personal preference. Because trust me, if you lived in Nigeria and you are used to Nigeria and you are able to save £2,000 a month or $2,000 a month, at the end of the year, you have saved $24,000. That money, you cannot save it abroad if you are earning the same salary with the guy in Nigeria who's able to save that. Now, another argument is abroad, you don't really need to save because you get a lot of things on credit. So just make sure your salary comes in. At the end of the day, you'll be getting all those things as time goes. It has its disadvantages and it has its advantages. If somebody owns a house in Nigeria, has paid for it 100%. Somebody owns a house in the Europe, he's paying for it and you pay for it for the next 15 years. While that makes it housing more available to people, meaning it is easier for you to own a house in the UK, the person who owns his house in Nigeria really owns it. You still have 10 years left, or 15 years, or 12 years, depending on what you negotiated with the banks. Health is another thing that we need to talk about. And it is also a debatable. What people abroad enjoy is free healthcare of very high standard. In Nigeria, if you have money, I have 2 family members that were treated of cancer and they are alive and fine. In fact, 3 family members. They were treated for cancer in Nigeria and they are fine. My father had heart surgery, open heart surgery, a coronary artery bypass in this Nigeria. He still calls me today. He's fine. If you look for a trouble, he will fight you. So you also have good quality healthcare in Nigeria, but it is expensive. That's the difference. It is expensive. Now, I was following a girl who I just stumbled upon her on YouTube, and she shared her cancer story in the US. She said when she was first diagnosed, that when she first started having symptoms, she went to the doctor. The doctor said, "No, it's nothing. No." It took about a year before she could get a colonoscopy. In Nigeria, you want a colonoscopy, you just go to Uracare or Mecure or Evercare and you will get it today. Sorry, you cannot get it today because you need prep of maybe 2 weeks. But you go there, you pay today, they will tell you what to do, and in 2 weeks when they've prepped you for it, you go and you do it. You don't need to wait 1 year to do a colonoscopy. That one are abroad. Nigeria, I know people who have been on queues to see doctors for 6 months in Canada. In UK, they have been on the queue to see doctors for 6 months, 8 months, 1 year. So that is also an academic debate. Someone says if she also pays, she will see the doctor the same day. Now we are working with 2 people who are earning $5,000 a month. After tax, the Nigerian and the Abroadarian have $3,000 left a month. If you have $3,000 left a month, you cannot pay for medicine abroad. You have to be on the queue of NHS. You are earning $3,000 a month. You are paying rent inside. You are feeding inside. You are paying your bills inside. You will not be able to walk into a hospital and pay for a colonoscopy. It's not possible. How much are you going to have saved? But in Nigeria, when you can save $2,000 a month, how much is colonoscopy? 200,000 naira or 400,000 naira. You walk into there, you get it done. Someone said private healthcare in the UK. Private healthcare in the UK is not what you are not going to be earning 3K a month to have private healthcare. You can't earn 3K dollars a month and have private healthcare. If you earn 3K dollars a month in Nigeria, you have very good private healthcare. Let's debate. Let's debate, because remember, we are working on a standard. We cannot just compare onions with watermelon. Let's compare onion. Someone said there is insurance, and I'm telling you about the abroad insurance. You'll be on the queue for 1 year, 6 months, 3 months for what you will walk into a shop and get done in Nigeria if you have the money. So we are comparing two people who are earning $3,000 a month after tax in the UK, the US, and Canada, and Nigeria. With 3K a month in any of these countries, Nigeria will give you a better value health care. Because let me tell you, I don't want to mention the name of the hospital, but there are hospitals in Lagos that bring in professionals from the UK every week and the US. They fly them in every week. In this Lagos, ask. I used to have a doctor that was taking care of one of my kids. The doctor used to come in every 2 weeks. So we used to have appointment every 2 weeks. Hey, my cap don't come out too. We used to have appointment every 2 weeks. Brume says we get it for free. But the problem is you have to wait to get it. Nigeria, you don't have to wait. Someone says you don't have to be on a queue for medical treatment in the USA. It's not what I've heard, or it's not what I read, but like I said, your opinion is valid and your opinion counts. Someone said abroad healthcare is great. If you have money, Nigeria healthcare too can be very great. So I need to run off. I have a meeting. I don't know what's going on with Facebook. Internet has been very bad. So I'm so sorry, Facebook. I'm so sorry, Facebook. Internet seems to be particularly bad on Facebook, and I don't understand why. I'm so sorry, Facebook people. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. Internet just seems to be bad on Facebook. Maybe I'll update the Facebook app. Maybe I've not updated it in a while. If you're watching on TikTok, double click the screen, double click the screen, double click the screen. I'm looking for money guns. Who's gonna pop my money guns? Pop those money guns. Oh yeah, pop those money guns. Pop those money guns. So let me very quickly. You know what's going to happen is we are going to come back, because I can see that nobody wants to go. There are 360 people watching on YouTube. There are 500, as in Facebook close. You open again, 500 people don't come back. So it shows that people really want to have this conversation. There are 350 people watching on TikTok. So I think the best thing for me to do now is go for my appointment and then come back and take your phone calls and your contributions. So can we meet by 7 p.m. Nigerian time, which is about 2 hours, 30 minutes from now? What do you guys think? Do you guys, so that when we now come back, you guys are going to come. You guys are going to come back. Someone says, DF, I think context matters in all these things. Exactly my message. It is all about context. Everything is, like I told you, if you are a nurse, you have no business working in Nigeria, in my opinion. There's no way you will earn a decent wage in Nigeria. You can't earn $500,000 a month. If you earn it, you will not be able to earn $1 million a month. Abroad, you will earn that $5,000 as a nurse. So if you are a nurse, abroad is good for you. If you are a doctor, abroad is most likely good for you. If you are most fields, but you see, if you are into, let me just bring Brume. Let Brume just say something. Then we come back and we discuss properly. Let me bring Brume, because Brume is someone whose opinion I value. And I usually like pitching him against Bongoli, but in the absence of Bongoli, Brume will still give a very valid opinion. Brume, this one that you are blue, you are back now.
Ah, sorry.
So how you day, Brume? Sorry, like I said earlier on, I have an
I'm good. Oh.
appointment and I want to rush. But let me hear from you. Did you start from the beginning? So you heard all the analogy. Okay. So what is your take?
Like that last person said, right? There has to be context. Okay. In my personal experience, right, I've lived in Nigeria. I lived and worked in Nigeria for a long time. So I am fully Nigerian by blood. I experienced everything, okay? I experienced emergencies, I experienced healthcare. I've seen everything in Nigeria, right? I lived in Angola, right? I'll tell you for free, Angola is worse than Nigeria. Like people pray when they take their kids to hospital for them to come back alive. So in that case, Nigeria beats many African countries when it comes to healthcare. However, I did live in Abu Dhabi for 4 years, right? Abu Dhabi, if you want to see a gastroenterologist, an ophthalmologist, any ologist, you walk into the hospital and you get it straight. There is no wait time. It's like, hello, my son isn't breathing properly. He needs a something scopy. It's like, come now, go to room 5, get it, sharp, sharp. Okay. Now, I had something I was putting off, and I came to Canada without understanding how things were. And first of all, you have to get a family doctor, right? The wait for that one is crazy. Some people don't have family doctors after years here, right? So you go to a walk-in clinic, okay? The walk-in clinic wait time is normally 5 hours, right? Just to tell them you have a headache, okay? Yeah. If there's something that requires like further testing, then they refer you to a lab. You go there, you get a X-ray, you get stuff, and then you come back with the result, right? Sometimes they will tell you to go to your family doctor if you have one, right? An appointment with him could take weeks just to read an X-ray, right? So there are some things that when you understand the system, right, you understand that if it's life-threatening, like you have a chest pain, for example, if you just call and say, I have chest pain, in 5 minutes, the ambulance with the sirens are going to be in front of your door. They are hooking you up to the ECG machine in the ambulance. They are checking your vitals. They're asking you questions. By the time you get to the hospital, they are waiting for you at the hospital, right? And they're taking you in immediately. Okay, so there are some things here that work very well, aka emergency care. However, everything else that it frees has a long wait time, right? Is the healthcare good? Yes, it is good. The rule is that don't fall very sick. Okay, try to be well as much as you can, because all the talk about wait times are valid. But when there's life-threatening issues that it frees, there is no wait time. They handle them immediately. I once went to the clinic to complain about chest pain. I just wanted painkillers quietly. In 5 minutes, I was on a stretcher in an ambulance against my will. Yeah. I got to the hospital. There were people waiting. They took me to the front, took me into the room, hooked me up, blood, everything. And in 15 minutes, the doctor was there asking me questions, right? So the thing is that when there's something that can kill you and you call regarding that, you get care immediately. If it's just like my leg is paining me and I just want someone to check it, or I feel like there's something I need to do, like I have a lump of fat somewhere, then you wait for a long time, right? So life-threatening stuff gets handled quickly. But the beauty is that all of this is free, except the ambulance. The ambulance is not free, right? So if I'm just here now and I have chest pain and I call them to come to my house, it's $500. They'll send me the bill, right? If I go to a clinic like I did and I complain from the clinic and the clinic calls the ambulance, then I pay only 10%, which is $50. That's the only time when I've ever been charged for anything. When it comes to drugs, dental care, eye care, if you have a good job, your company insurance pays for those. But the free healthcare covers a lot of that, right? So based on my experience in different places, right, I would say for Nigeria, because recently my dad suffered like a bad accident, and we had to go through the Nigerian medical system. And I must tell you, because we are all abroad and we could kind of afford it, I was impressed, honestly. I won't lie to you, right? I was impressed with, I didn't know that we had good working ICUs in Benin. I didn't know that we had that kind of medical care in Benin. So my brother is a doctor in the UK, and he was very happy with the medical care my dad received in Benin. I was happy too when I saw the pictures. I'm like, oh, he's hooked up to all these things that okay, so, but you have to have money, right? Because to admit, you have to first drop 500K at the door before they even say, okay, what's his name, right? So I would say for Nigerians in Nigeria, you have to have money, liquid cash to enjoy the same kind of medical care that we enjoy here. You get it faster, you get it immediately. My brother and sister, when they have like emergency procedures, they come to Lagos to do them from UK because you can get it immediately that it frees. It's immediate.
I
You
was
just walk
saying
in
this,
there
they
and you
were
get it.
arguing with me. You know why I love
Yeah.
you, Brume? Eh? You be
Yeah.
guys, so I don't feel love you because that one, you they think most people are sentimental.
Yeah.
I have a lot of people in my DM that it freeze. It took me 6 months to get. So I put all this together, but until I'm able to actually talk to someone who lives there, who works there. Now, there are people who live abroad and work abroad and are not right thinking people. I have very few people that I consider right thinking people. You, Priye, Diary of a Canadian Mom, Bongo Lee, and a few others who I consider people who are not swayed by emotions or sentiment. So if you say your family members from the UK and the US, or the UK that is, come to Nigeria, I understand totally. I get reports of that all the time. My father had open heart surgery in Ekiti State. Afe Babalola Ultramodern Hospital in Ekiti State. As in, I have a video. I've formatted that particular phone. You will see my father's heart beating like this. They opened my father's heart. You will see the heart beating like this. If I had it on this, I would have shown you. It was done here. They grafted veins from his leg and patched his heart. It was done here in Nigeria. Sorry, 1 second. Yeah. All right, I'll meet her there in 5 minutes. Okay. Sorry, so I had an appointment, so Tasteboard's called to remind me.
Like you have to run that.
So before you go, Brume, I wanted to ask you, the Canadian healthcare system or the Abu Dhabi healthcare system, which do you consider better?
The Abu Dhabi healthcare system, of course.
You might not have lived in the UK. Without a doubt. You might not have lived in the UK, but you have lived in Canada, and you have family members who live in the UK. Can you compare the Abu Dhabi healthcare system and the UK system and tell me what you think?
I think, honestly speaking, I think the Abu Dhabi healthcare system, the UAE generally, their healthcare system beats most other places, right? Because when you are there, right, most of the things are not out of pocket, right? If you employ a housemaid in Abu Dhabi, you have to buy her health insurance, or him, as the case may be. So everybody has a health insurance card in their pockets, and when they go to the hospital, it depends on what level of health insurance they get, but everybody gets healthcare. Like, there is no wait time like we have here. So if you have a problem, you walk into the hospital. You have doctors from all over the world, Nigerians, Americans, British. If you have a preference, if you say, look, I want a female doctor, a female Muslim doctor, you get it. I want a male Christian doctor, you will get that. All in the same department, right? So they even consider preferences because they understand people there have preferences, right? The facilities at Wallst, you go to the hospital is like Eco Hotel. It's standard, it's beautiful, right? And we've seen emergencies, and we've seen how quickly they respond and the class of care that we've received there. So honestly speaking, from what I know of all of them, including the US healthcare system, right, just for the accessibility and the kind of standard that you get, I think they are above most other places because they have the professionals, they have the equipment, and the people have access. to world-class facilities, right? So I rate them above most other places, right? Except some, I don't know if someone else has a different opinion, but this is what I have seen physically and experienced.
Okay, let me ask you a question. If you were earning $5,000 for doing the same thing in Canada, and you had the option of going to Nigeria to earn the same $5,000 for doing the exact same thing, what would you do?
The money is paid to me in dollars in Nigeria.
Dollars in Nigeria.
I'll come to Nigeria straight away.
So this is the part of the conversation that we're coming back for. If you had access to the kind of money they have abroad, would you still live in Nigeria? It's going to be a very open-ended discussion. It's not me fighting the Abroadarians. I don't want Abroadarians because there was a time I went through that. And let me be very honest, my biggest customers are Abroadarians. It's just like my biggest customers are Igbo people. So no matter what Igbo people, that's why you not see me sitting down here and talking about Nnamdi Kanu. Maybe I'll do once when they overdo things. But I try to avoid things like that because I also have to make my customers happy. So my biggest customers, according to my statistics, Igbo na 60% of my customers. The remaining 40% na everybody join. So as somebody that has sense, I have a preference for my customer. Everybody, even arm robber, they tell you don't shoot your customer. The person like customer. Then secondly, out of all my customers, about 70% are abroad. So I have to be very respectful when I'm dealing with any matter that concerns abroad people. So abroad people, my customers don't say, oh, this Daddy Freeze is too rude. In fact, we're not patronizing his services again. No. That's not what we do. But you see, we also need to come to a point where we can have an overwhelming academic consensus or an overwhelming scholarly agreement that, okay, if we look at rent, we look at feeding, we look at security, we look at all the things, would you still be able to choose Nigeria or it just has to be abroad? That and more when we come back at 10 p.m. Brume, highest salute. Take care and God bless. Everybody, thank you all so much. I love you guys. Bye.